The doorbell rang sharply, slicing through the silence of Maya Carter's apartment. It was 3 a.m. Startled, Maya slipped out of bed, threw on a sweater, and tiptoed to the peephole. A shadow moved just beyond the light, and then she saw her sister, Leah. Her face was partially hidden, but what Maya saw turned her blood cold. Leah's right eye was swollen shut, and a deep bruise spread across her cheek like a dark map. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more contents. Behind her, in the snow, sat a little girl in a wheelchair, shivering. Maya opened the door without hesitation. The cold air rushed in. "We didn't know where else to go," Leah whispered, her voice trembling. Maya stepped aside, heart pounding. "Get inside. You're safe now." Leah flinched at the word safe, as if she'd forgotten what it meant. Maya gently helped Emma, her niece, roll in. The child's thin arms clutched a backpack with cartoon unicorns. Snow dripped from their coats onto the mat. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from their mother. "Don't take them in. Greg says they stole from us. Police are involved." The words hit Maya like a slap. She looked down at Emma's face, wide-eyed, silent, afraid. A child who couldn't run. Her throat tightened. That night, the illusion of family she'd tried so hard to protect cracked wide open, and what lay beneath was uglier than she ever imagined. Maya closed the door and locked it behind them, her hands slightly shaking. She turned to see Leah limping forward, one arm protectively around Emma. Under the hallway light, the shadows peeled away to reveal more damage. A deep cut along Leah's jaw still oozed faintly, and dark, finger-shaped bruises ringed her wrists. Maya's voice was tight. "Did Greg do this to you?" Leah didn't answer right away. She lowered her gaze and gave the smallest nod. "Mom watched," she murmured. "She didn't stop him." Maya's chest burned. "She told us to leave when I refused to give them Emma's disability check," Leah added, her voice brittle. Maya blinked. "Wait, disability check?" Leah nodded again. "They've been taking it for months. Mom said they needed it for house repairs." Maya stared at her in disbelief. "Last week, I saw cruise tickets on their kitchen counter." Maya felt sick. Every emergency she had responded to, the broken water heater, the roof repair, the surprise medical expenses, was a lie. Thousands she had sent in good faith while they were robbing Emma's support funds. She cleared her throat, steadying herself. "You too are staying here. End of discussion." That night, she made up the spare room, placing extra blankets on the bed. Leah sank into it like she hadn't touched a mattress in days. Emma curled up under the covers, still clutching her unicorn backpack. Maya stayed up, sitting at the kitchen table, scanning housing programs and legal aid websites. Then Leah's phone lit up beside her. A voicemail. Something in Maya, instinct maybe, made her press play. Her mother's voice crackled through the speaker, sharp and cold. "If you embarrass me in front of Greg again, I swear I'll make you both disappear." That crippled Brett better stay quiet too. Maya sat frozen, the phone still in her hand, her knuckles white. The mug beside her slipped from her fingers and shattered on the tile. The recording ended, but the voice echoed in her mind. Threats against a child. Her niece. Her blood. Without thinking, she replayed the message and this time recorded it onto her own phone. It was no longer just a family issue. It was war, and she needed evidence. She needed a plan. She spent the rest of the night gathering documents, medical records, text receipts, even screenshots of past money transfers to her mother. The more she dug, the angrier she became. By the time the sun rose, Maya had emailed 2 legal aid firms. She wasn't going to let this slide. She would protect Leah and Emma, even if it meant tearing apart the family she'd tried so hard to keep together. When Leah woke up late that morning, her face looked a little less pained, but she flinched when Maya touched her shoulder. "You recorded it?" Leah asked quietly, staring at her phone. Maya nodded. "And I backed it up 3 different ways. We're going to fight this. Leah looked away, ashamed. I should have left earlier. I was scared. Maya sat beside her. You were surviving, Leah. You did the best you could. But now you don't have to do it alone. From the hallway, Emma called softly. Aunt Maya. Maya turned. The little girl wheeled herself in, her tiny hands shaking slightly. Do we have to go back? Maya bent down and took Emma's hands in hers. Never again, she said gently. Not while I'm alive. 3 days passed in a blur of paperwork, whispered conversations, and cautious hope. Maya juggled work, calls, with social services appointments, squeezing in legal consultations during lunch breaks. Meanwhile, Leah rested, her bruises darkening to ugly shades of green and yellow. Emma was quiet, always alert, flinching at door creaks and raised voices on the television. But she was slowly warming up, drawing pictures, asking for bedtime stories, smiling at Maya's silly impressions. Just when things seemed to be settling, the doorbell rang again. Maya's heart skipped. She peeked through the peephole, and there he was, Greg Whitman, standing on her porch, holding a cheap bouquet of supermarket flowers, like they could erase what he'd done. Behind him, in the driver's seat of a shiny luxury SUV, sat Evelyn Whitman, Maya's mother. She didn't move. The engine purred. Maya stepped outside and shut the door behind her. Greg, she said flatly, why are you here? He smiled like a politician. We've come to take the girls home. There's been a misunderstanding. Maya folded her arms. A misunderstanding? Leah has a concussion. Emma had frostbite. Your sister's unstable, Greg said, still smiling. She attacked me first. Ask your mother. We just want what's best for the child. Maya's voice sharpened. You mean stealing her disability checks for your vacation? His smile cracked. We took care of them for years. We deserve compensation. Maya blinked. Compensation. Greg stepped closer, lowering his voice. I'm still on the lease to their apartment. I could report them as runaways. Or worse, report you for kidnapping. What would your fancy job think of that? Maya reached into her pocket, pulled out her phone, and hit record. Say that again. Tell the police how you beat my sister and threw a disabled child into a snowstorm. Greg's smile vanished, his jaw tightening as he stared at the glowing red record button on Maya's screen. You think you're so smart, he hissed. You've always thought you were better than us. Maya didn't flinch. No, she said calmly. I just finally see you for who you are. Behind him, Evelyn remained motionless in the car, staring straight ahead like she wasn't part of this at all. Greg scoffed and turned away, stomping down the porch steps. You'll regret this, he muttered under his breath. Maya stood still, watching as he climbed back into the SUV. The car pulled away without a backward glance. Leah appeared in the doorway, her face pale. Was that them? Maya nodded slowly. They know where we are now. I'm sorry, Leah whispered. I should have. Stop, Maya said gently. This is not your fault. And we're not running anymore. That night, Maya forwarded the audio recording to her lawyer contact and attached a short note. We may need this sooner than we think. Over the next week, they filed for an emergency protective order and gathered medical records from the hospital visit. Emma began sleeping through the night again, and Leah started cooking small meals, her movements still slow but steadier. It felt like progress. And then came the court summons. Greg and Evelyn had filed for emergency custody of Emma. Maya read the paperwork twice, her hand shaking. They were accusing Leah of being unfit, claiming Maya had kidnapped Emma. They're trying to flip everything, she said aloud. Leah sat on the couch, frozen. They'll win. They always win. Maya looked at her sister, something fierce rising in her chest. Not this time, she said. This time we have truth, and we have proof. The courthouse conference room smelled like old wood and stale coffee. Maya sat beside Leah and their attorney, Claire Benson, a no-nonsense woman with glasses perched on her nose and confidence that filled the room. Across the table sat Greg in a pressed gray suit, looking smug, and Evelyn in her finest church dress, pearl earrings gleaming. They looked like a model family on the outside, but Maya knew better. Claire flipped through the petition they had filed. "They're arguing that Leah is unstable," she explained, "and they're suggesting Emma requires specialized care only they can provide." Leah's hands trembled in her lap. "They've done this before," she whispered. "Twisted things to make me look weak." Maya touched her arm. "They don't get to lie their way out this time." Claire glanced up. "Do you have what we discussed?" Maya nodded and slid a small USB drive across the table. "It's all there." The voicemail from Evelyn, threatening to make them disappear. The bank records, 8 months of disability, checks going into their personal account. And the hospital records from the night I took them in. Claire smiled. That should be enough to get the judge's attention. The door opened. A court officer stepped in. "You're up next." Leah stood slowly. "I'm scared," she admitted. Maya squeezed her hand. "I know, but you're not alone anymore." In the courtroom, the judge, a stern-looking woman named Judge Thompson, called the hearing to order. Greg's lawyer stood first. "Your Honor, my clients have provided a stable home. Miss Carter has a long history of instability. She removed the child without legal authority. We're here today to protect young Emma's well-being." Judge Thompson turned to their side. "Miss Carter, how do you respond?" Leah opened her mouth, but no words came. Leah's lips parted, but her voice failed her. Her shoulders tensed, and her eyes darted to the courtroom doors like she wanted to escape. Maya didn't wait. She stood slowly and asked, "Your Honor, may I speak on my sister's behalf?" The judge studied her, then gave a small nod. "Proceed, Miss Carter." Maya took a deep breath and turned to face the court. "Leah didn't remove Emma without cause. She was forced out. My stepfather, Greg Whitman, physically assaulted her, and my mother stood by and did nothing. They left her and a disabled child out in the snow with nowhere to go." The opposing lawyer stood. "Objection. These are baseless allegations without evidence." The judge held up a hand. "Let's hear what she has." Claire stood then, calm and firm. "We have 3 pieces of evidence, Your Honor." She inserted the USB into the court's computer. The first recording began to play. Evelyn's voice filled the courtroom. "If you embarrass me in front of Greg again, I swear I'll make you both disappear. That crippled Brett better stay quiet too. We know people at social services." The courtroom went dead silent. Evelyn's face drained of color. Her eyes dropped. "Objection!" their lawyer shouted. "This recording was made without consent." Claire replied smoothly, "Your Honor, our state allows single-party consent. Maya was in lawful possession of the phone." Judge Thompson gave a small nod and gestured for them to continue. Claire pulled up the second file. Bank statements highlighting deposits of Emma's disability checks directly into Greg and Evelyn's joint account. "These funds were meant for Emma's care," Claire said. "Instead, they were used for cruise tickets, spa visits, and home renovations." Whispers rippled through the courtroom. Greg leaned forward, whispering furiously to his lawyer, his calm mask starting to crack. Evelyn kept her head low, her pearls no longer shining under the courtroom lights. Claire wasn't done. "Finally, Your Honor," she said, clicking on the third file. "We have medical records from the night Leah and Emma arrived at Maya Carter's apartment. They show multiple contusions, a mild concussion, and early-stage frostbite on the child." The judge's expression stayed unreadable, but she didn't stop the presentation. She read through the report slowly, eyes scanning every line. Then she looked up directly at Evelyn. "Mrs. Whitman, would you like to respond to these allegations?" Evelyn rose stiffly, smoothing her skirt like that could fix anything. "Your Honor, we've always cared for Leah and Emma." Maybe we were strict, but everything we did was for their benefit. Greg couldn't stay quiet. Do you know how much it costs to raise a disabled child? He snapped. Appointments, special food, equipment. That money was compensation for everything we sacrificed. His lawyer tried to stop him, but it was too late. The judge's pen stopped mid-note. Mr. Whitman, she said evenly, are you admitting that you used the child's disability benefits for your own personal expenses? Silence thickened the room. Greg's face flushed red. We deserved every penny, he barked, for putting up with them. Gasps filled the courtroom. Claire folded her arms, victorious. The judge lifted her gavel and brought it down hard. Emergency petition denied. I am ordering a formal investigation into the misappropriation of disability benefits and possible criminal charges for assault and child endangerment. Temporary custody of Emma Carter is awarded to her mother with supervised visitation for the grandparents at the court's discretion. Maya exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. As the courtroom began to empty, the tension hung in the air like smoke after a fire. Greg stormed ahead, slamming the door as he exited. Evelyn, however, lingered behind. She moved stiffly toward Maya and grabbed her arm, her manicured nails digging into her skin. You've destroyed this family, she hissed, eyes narrowed and sharp. Maya looked at her mother with a strange calm. No, she said quietly. You destroyed it. I just stopped pretending. Evelyn's mouth opened, but no words came. She turned and walked away without looking back. Outside the courthouse, Leah clutched Emma's hand while Maya signed final documents with Claire. It's not over, Claire reminded them, but it's a solid beginning. The court has granted you protection, and the investigation will do the rest. Leah's voice wavered. What if they come near her again? Claire handed her a document. That's your restraining order. If they even show up at your doorstep, you call the police. Leah blinked back tears. Thank you. Claire smiled gently. Don't thank me. Thank your sister. Maya shrugged, trying to play it off. I just followed the law. But inside, her heart was pounding with both relief and adrenaline. That night, back at home, the three of them sat around the dinner table. Leah had made soup, and Emma had drawn a crayon picture of a house with 3 smiling stick figures. That's us, she said proudly. It's our new house. Maya's throat tightened. You're a great artist, she whispered, pulling Emma close. For the first time in a long while, dinner ended in laughter instead of silence. The scars were still there, emotional, physical, but the air felt lighter. They were safe, and that was more than they'd had in years. 3 months later, the seasons had shifted. The bitter snow was gone, replaced by warm spring air drifting through open windows. Birds chirped in the early mornings, and the house that once felt temporary now breathed like home. Maya had dipped into her savings to make the down payment on a modest, accessible house with a wooden porch, a ramp, and space for healing. Leah took over the garden beds, finding comfort in the dirt, while Emma filled the walls with her drawings. Bright suns, big hearts, and little stick figures that always stood hand in hand. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, Maya sat on the porch swing, sipping tea as Leah stepped outside carrying 2 glasses of lemonade. She's drawing again, Leah said softly. Said she's designing our family crest this time. Maya smiled. It'll probably involve unicorns and pancakes. They both laughed. Then Leah turned serious. Do you think it's really over? Maya didn't answer right away. She thought about the court's restraining order, the criminal investigation still crawling along, and the restitution petition they had filed. Not completely, she said, but we've put up a fence, and it's holding. Emma wheeled herself onto the porch ramp with a proud grin, holding up her newest drawing. Look, she chirped. That's you, Auntie Maya. You're holding a shield. Maya took the paper, her eyes welling. And what's this big sun behind us? It's hope, Emma said simply. Leah let out a laugh that turned into a sob. Maya reached over and squeezed her hand. The world outside was still messy, but here on the porch, with lemonade, crayons, and sunlight, it finally felt like a beginning. Not a perfect one, but a real one. And Maya knew, deep down, that this was the story they were always meant to write. The final email arrived just after sunset, its subject line reading simply, "Restitution granted." Maya opened it slowly, holding her breath. The court had ruled in their favor. Greg and Evelyn were ordered to repay every cent they had taken from Emma's disability fund with interest. The number at the bottom of the ruling made Leah gasp when Maya showed her. "It's more than we thought," Leah whispered. "It's enough to cover Emma's therapy, her school, maybe even her surgery." Maya nodded, her eyes never leaving the screen. "And they can't touch her again." Evelyn and Greg had divorced quietly weeks ago, torn apart by court investigations, public shame, and legal debt. Their once polished image had crumbled like dust. There were no sirens, no flashing lights, just court orders and consequences, and peace, real peace. Inside the house, Emma laughed, her bright giggle floating through the screen door as she watched a squirrel dart around the garden. Leah smiled, standing in the doorway. "You did this," she said softly. "You gave us a second chance." Maya shook her head. "No, we did this. Together." She looked at her sister, her niece, and the home they had built from broken pieces. Healing, she'd learned, wasn't some dramatic triumph. It was the quiet courage to show up each day, to plant flowers in a yard once filled with fear, to hold each other close when memories crept in, and to draw new futures in crayon, one heart at a time. As twilight settled around them, Maya stepped inside, letting the door swing gently shut behind her. The past no longer had keys to their lives, and in the soft glow of their living room, with laughter and warmth rising like music, they finally felt free. Like and subscribe to my channel for more contents like this, and let us know where you are watching from under the comment section.